Hey everybody, it's Lawrence Presman and Vegas. It's the college football betting show. It's Tuesday. Dave Cokin and Teddy Covers joining us. We're going to take apart 5 games in depth and then do 10 quick takes. I'm going to bring my guests in. Teddy and Dave, you both look great. Teddy, outstanding lighting. The way your jacket matches your gray hair and beard, outstanding stuff, dude. You look awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Lawrence. You look marvelous too.
I'm feeling marvelous, Teddy. I'm on an 8-1 baseball run. Had Washington last night. I'm in the groove on everything but NFL. Although I had my first winning week in NFL. Hooray. Dave Cokin, how are you, brother? How was your week?
Okay, managed 3-2 in the colleges. Should have been 4-1. Got backdoored with 2 fourth quarter scores in a game where I looked to be safely ahead. So, going to happen once in a while. But we moved to 25-13 the season on all the way to talk college plays, and looking forward to just keeping it rolling.
You're having an outstanding year. How's your hockey started?
Good. Got a couple of winners in a row and have a play up tonight.
There you go, guys. Head over to wagertalk.com. Check out Dave Cokin's hockey. Boys, let's get right into it. And Dave, I'm going to go to you first. Oregon is on the road this week. They're playing Washington, 5-1 team versus a 5-2 team. Oregon finds themselves at -3. There's a few 2.5s out there with a total of 50.5. What do you like in this game?
That's a good matchup. I mean, there aren't many big games, if you can call them that, national conference. They cannibalize one another. This Oregon's playing really good ball, but can Oregon pass a big test on the road? And that's something I'm not so sure they can do. Washington, great in the second half last week. I think they're going to build on that. It'll be a game that goes to the wire. But the one thing I've learned on Oregon is that last few years they've just not been able to win these. And until they do, I can't take them. So Huskies side here. Don't know that it'll make my card. It's under consideration. I am considering Washington in the game, and it should be aware of the battle.
You look from a defensive perspective. I mean, Oregon's numbers are insane. 3-7-6, 3-6. That's their last 5 games. I mean, they're putting New England's defense to a test right now. This is incredible. Last year, Teddy, Oregon won at home 30-27. Where are you going in this game?
So I'm with Dave in the sense of I'm very interested in the Washington Huskies as home dogs. And of course, if you look at the defensive numbers for these teams this season, Oregon, remarkable in terms of what they've done, allowing 3.9 yards per play. That's number 4 in the country, compared to the Huskies, who are allowing 5.3 yards per play. That's number 56 in the country. All that being said, when we look at a strength of schedule standpoint, Oregon credit for facing a tougher schedule than Washington so far. You look at the many mainstream strength schedule number, these two teams are pretty even. When it the football, Washington's played a bunch and Oregon hasn't played any. They have not faced a good offense at any point during this span. We saw Jacob Eason and the Huskies offense kind of wake up in the second half last week after they looked pretty sleepy for about 6 quarters in a row. 2 years ago, Washington held Oregon to 3 points. That defense shut down the Ducks. They're capable of an effort like that. The question in my mind is whether Easton and company are going to be able to move the football against that Oregon defense. We haven't seen any consistency from Washington on the offensive side of the football all season long, and this is one of the better Ds they've faced. Lean Washington. I have not pulled the trigger yet. Clients and I cashed ticket with the Huskies last week. We may get back to the well with them again this week, but I have not pulled the trigger yet.
He's Teddy Covers. You can find him at sportsmemo.com and wagertalk.com. And the old guy, our mentor, an idol to most in this industry, Dave Cokin. You can find him at wagertalk.com. wagertalk.com, and of course myself, Lawrence Presman, over at wagertalk.com. Guys, Brian Leonard, how about his college football season? I mean, the guy's up gigantic profit on the year. He's on a 24-8 college football run. I got a promo for everybody. $379 for the rest of his season. It's regularly priced at $525. It's yours for $379. Head over to wagertalk.com and use the promo code Brian379, and that's Brian with a Y. Brian379. Dave, you and Brian are pals, man. Same with you, Teddy. You guys talk all the time. I mean, he must just be thrilled with how he started the year.
Well, 24-8 is a pretty good run, yeah.
Sure. And Brian, I mean, Brian is an even-keeled a guy as you'll meet. When he's losing, he's steady. When he's winning, he's steady. And I've seen Brian, he does the work. When he goes on a run, he can go on a run that lasts months.
Yeah.
So if you're riding him, keep riding him. Kudos to Brian Leonard.
Yeah, head over to wagertalk.com, guys. Use the promo code Brian379, $379 for the rest of his college football season. Boys, Florida. Statement game against LSU, and they made no statement.
Oh, sure they did. What are you talking about?
Well, it would have been that was a huge. Are you arguing with me already, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, because you made a statement that's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
What do you mean they didn't make a statement? They played them heads up for 60 minutes at LSU, and LSU is one of the 5 best teams in the country. I'd say that's a pretty good statement.
Okay, they got walloped 42-28.
No, they didn't get
walloped. That's what he's trying to say.
It's a 35-28 game, and they're going in for the tying score, and they got a turnover that went the other way, and that was the end of the football game. That game was a toss-up the entire game.
Okay.
A straight-up toss-up.
Yeah. Forget the spread. I mean, it just happened the way it happened at the end. But that's, I mean, you clearly did not watch the football game.
Clearly.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. What was I doing? I had a 50th birthday party Saturday night. Oh God, I'm so sick of those already. Oh.
I'd love to have a 50th birthday party.
So you're talking about Cokin being a legend. I moved to town in '98. Me and Brian Leonard actually. I met Brian Leonard. Both of us were just moved to Las Vegas. And at that time, in 1998, the first time I met Dave Cokin, I was introduced to him as the legend Dave Cokin. You've been a legend forever, dude.
I hope it sticks around for a while.
Yeah, it will, brother. It will, that's for sure. Anyway, let's get into this game. Florida -6 against South Carolina. And can I say South Carolina made a statement?
Yes.
They did.
Oh my! I watched that game. Wow. 20-17 win against Georgia. Threw the playoffs up in the air. I'm sure Oklahoma and Ohio State were celebrating. Florida's -6. Dave, I'll go to you first. What do you think?
This is a tough game because you saw South Carolina celebrate at the end of that double overtime win, and it was as if they won the national championship. I mean, Muschamp was literally jumping in the air and jumping into people's arms. Might well have been a job-saving win for Muschamp, who has been on the hot seat this year at South Carolina. And that's the type of win that gets you another season. The bad news for South Carolina is they have to find a way to rebound from that. And we don't know what the status of Helinski is going to be because he got hurt last week, so they could be down another quarterback. And boy, it's just really tough coming off an upset of that magnitude for a team to gather themselves and play with focus the next week. The flip side is Florida is off these 2 really gut-busting games. The win over Auburn, which was an extremely physical matchup where the teams just knocked the crap out of each other for 60 minutes. And then that track meet last week with LSU, which was a phenomenal game. So I have a tendency to think that there may not be a lot left in the tank defensively for either team. Now, take this with a grain of salt because I'm not a totals player. But I have a feeling we're going to get points in this one. I don't think Florida's defense is going to be at their best. And defense has a tendency to be the area that feels the biggest drop-off when a team is in a potential letdown spot. And South Carolina's in a potential letdown spot. So I think you've got the makings of a higher scoring than expected game here.
Total at 48.5, 49. Teddy, what do you like in this one, brother?
See, I can't play the over unless I know that Helinski's healthy because the drop-off for the Gamecocks is significant at the QB position when their Frost starter who won the job isn't capable of playing. So I would, let's put it this way. South Carolina, a priori, you can't play South Carolina this week. That was and again, I know they're off back-to-back wins. They won against Kentucky the previous week. That's the biggest win that program has had in some time. And the celebration was significant, and that's not a team I'm interested in the following week. That being said, Dave nailed it with the Gators. I don't want to repeat everything that, just repeat what he said, but when you're coming off two ultra intense back-to-back physical down-to-the-wire games like they played the last 2 weeks, that's not where I'm laying points on the road. So it's an easy pass for me, not a game I'm even close to getting involved with. Total-wise, makes sense to look at the over if South Carolina has a quarterback who can stretch the defense, not if their backup plays this week. I wouldn't look at the over in that instance.
He's Teddy Covers. Dave Cokin, you're watching the College Football Betting Show. Dave, Baylor on the road, 6-0 this season, playing Oklahoma State at 4-2. Oklahoma State is -3.5. We got a big total of 66 on the board. What do you like in this one, my friend?
Ooh, it's a tough one. I think this is a go-to-the-wire game, so I have a tendency to look at the dog in games like this. But Baylor, they just barely got out of town with a win last week. It's just not a spot I want Baylor in. I think Baylor's a little better football team, and they've proven to me that they can win important games. But this is not a spot. It's just not a spot where I like them. The Oklahoma State team, to be quite honest, I'm not sure what to make of them. There are certain teams you can never get a handle on, and the only thing I can say about Oklahoma State is I'm glad I've stayed away from betting their games because I would not have been getting them right. I just don't have a good feel for the team. So that's kind of where I am in this game. I guess maybe just on the scheduling, a light lean to Oklahoma State, but boy, it's sure not enough for me to consider it.
Theodore Covers.
Yeah, so, Baylor's not going undefeated. All right. They're not. And we're talking about a team that's 6 and have multiple losses. So we look at the Bears right now and saying, all right, where are these losses going to be? Obviously, okay, you have Okie State this week. You have West Virginia at home. You have Oklahoma and Texas still coming to town. This is not a team that's going to run through the Big 12. This is absolutely the type of game where their opposing teams coming off a loss and a bye, from a spot standpoint, it's Okie State or pass, period. Especially as the pressure mounts with Baylor with every given win. But Dave made an excellent point in that Oklahoma State, they're okay. They're not that good. I think they've overachieved early on. And certainly from a point spread perspective, they've been a very good point spread team, in part because they were such an afterthought coming into the season. And in part, a little bit that's been random. They've won basically all the close decisions, ATS, so far this year. So now you're laying a hook. Instead of 3, you're laying 3.5. And that hook's meaningful in a game where Baylor's got the better defense. Baylor's going to play more physical football. And I'm not in love with Okie State's QB play. I'm really not. So the spot says favorite. The point spread and the matchups don't necessarily do that. Not a game I plan on getting involved in.
5-1 Temple heading into SMU. They're 6-0 on the season. This should be a fun game. Over and under 59. Where are you going, Dave?
This is a really good game. The AAC, it's a fun conference. And it's a good conference. If you take East Carolina and Connecticut out of the league, it's a pretty good league. There's several quality teams in this league. And Temple showed what they're made of last week. That's a great win for them at home against Memphis. I was on them. They took advantage of some mistakes that were made on the Memphis side and hung on in the football game. SMU's played tremendous ball. They had the hiccup against Tulsa that they survived, and now comes a huge test here. The pressure, though, is on SMU, and I wonder what the pressure is going to be, how the pressure is going to be dealt with, because this is not a program that is used to being in situations like this. It's brand new for them, and I have a tendency not to trust teams like this in situations like this. I also think that I mentioned the word cannibalize with the Pac-12 earlier. You could see some of that down the stretch in the AAC with teams knocking off one another. I think the situation actually favors Temple a little bit. I don't know that it makes my card. It's not a great spot for them because they are coming off a win where they knocked off an unbeaten team, and it's really tough to knock off unbeaten teams 2 weeks in a row. But I would lean Owls in this game. I think the points could matter.
Teddy, I've been riding Temple. I had them last week for the cover. Should I continue to do so?
That's the only one I'm looking this one. I mean, the SMU game against Tulsa, I watched that start to finish, and SMU was dead.
Yep.
All right, they were dead in that game. Tulsa was the better team, and then they just caught fire in the fourth quarter, and the crowd went nuts, and Tulsa made a couple of mistakes, and they ended up winning that game in OT. And we saw what happened to Tulsa last week, where they were just no-shows. They were done after that game. But now SMU they went into their bye week as fat and happy as it gets off a huge come-from-behind win, and we're all that. And now they're laying a price against a team that plays defense. And what impressed me last week about Temple was this is not a dynamic offense necessarily. Russo's okay at quarterback. They can run the football okay. But Temple's not a team we expect to make big plays. They were able to do that a week ago, and I was stunned when I looked at their offensive numbers. They're number 39 in the country in yards per game. They haven't necessarily translated that into points per game, but the Temple statistical profile impressed me in a surprising way, and more than a touchdown. That's the only way I could look.
Guys, I'm 8-1 in the baseball playoffs. You can get the rest of my baseball season for $99. Just head over to Wager Talk, use the promo code Prez. MLB99. That's Prez MLB99. Dave, Michigan on the road. 16th ranked team playing Penn State. Penn State is 6-0 on the season. And last year, these two teams met in Michigan, and Michigan walloped them 42-7. What's going to happen this year?
I don't care about last year. Michigan just did. Look,
I feel like you don't care about anything I say. I can just see all the comments coming now. Yeah, Prez. Why don't you shut up, Prez? Let Dave do all the talking, Prez.
My reason for saying that is that last year generally doesn't mean anything. It does. What does it mean? I mean, if last year meant something, then the same teams would. I'm not.
Dave, I was just setting the game up for you.
I know. I know. Well, I wasn't criticizing you. That was not an affront to you.
Never is, my brother.
I don't care. When I'm looking at the game, I don't care what took place last year, unless I can attach some meaning to it, which I can't, because Michigan is not. They're not the same team they were a year ago. They're worse. And last week's a good example. Look, I know it. Okay, they had the game won, and maybe they're starting to look ahead to this game. But how do you let Illinois get back in that game? And Illinois got back in that game. They got down to 3 points. I mean, this Michigan team just doesn't seem to be able to put together 60 minutes if you throw out the Rutgers game, and I am throwing out the Rutgers game. So, and a team that can't play 60 minutes is not going to get the job done when they face a really solid program. And Penn State certainly qualifies in that count. I mean, I don't think Penn State is necessarily a top 10 team, but they're close to it. And Michigan at this point, I'm not even sure they're a top 25 team, to be honest with you. I think we're deep enough into the season where we've seen enough of the Wolverines to come to the conclusion that they're a good, but that's as good as it gets team. Penn State's the better squad. They're going to have a crazy home crowd for this game. And if Michigan can't avoid that one bad quarter that they seem to have almost every game, then this game could get away from them. I don't normally get involved in this type of game with the favorite, but that's really the only way I can look here is the Nittany Lions.
He's Dave Cokin. Teddy, what do you like, brother?
So in 2016, Michigan wins the game against Penn State 49-10. 2000 at home. 2007, they travel to Happy Valley and lose 42-13. 2018, Michigan gets them home and it's 42-7. So each of the last, Dave says the blowouts in the last 3 years are all irrelevant. I do want to know the series history in college football, and I want to know specifically what happened last year, because that, to me, speaks largely about motivation, especially when you talk about a conference where these teams are going to meet every year. So the fact that Penn State got wiped out in Ann Arbor last year, to me, is a meaningful point to this handicap. Penn State's home field is as strong as any in college football right now. It really is. You look at the numbers show it. I can remember a couple times where Michigan was hanging around in Happy Valley, and then all of a sudden you blink and they're down by 3 touchdowns. And that could happen here. The issue for the Wolverines is twofold in my mind. Their offensive line play has not been as expected, and their quarterback play has not been as expected. They got playmakers on the outside. They got running backs. The defense is loaded. But the offense falls asleep, and Penn State's defense is no joke. That being said, Nittany Lions' offense isn't that good, and Wolverines' defense is all that. I have no problem with an under, and I know the total's really low, but this is the type of game, first to 14 is going to win. No problem with an under in this game. If I had to play the side, I would look at the Nittany Lions, but again, the market's already gotten there. It's open 7.5. Now we're looking at 9s, and I would expect it to go up by kickoff.
Guys, head over to wagertalk.com. Get down on my baseball season. $99. Use the promo code Prez MLB99. Boys, we got 10 short takes. Let's start now. Pittsburgh -3 going into Syracuse. I got a lot of friends who are going to this game. I know Dave doesn't care because that doesn't make his handicap. But for me, it's crucial when handicapping. Dave, what's happening in this game?
I don't trust either one of these teams. Pittsburgh did everything they could to lose the Duke game and then somehow won it at the end. Syracuse is no good. Old rivalry, though. I lean Syracuse in this game. I think they'll be the unpopular side. I think the bettors will like Pittsburgh. I'll lean Syracuse. Don't know that it makes my card, though. I'm giving it minor consideration.
Theodore?
So, Prez, one thing we want to be on this show is truthful, okay? We have to be authentic and we have to be truthful. You do not have friends going to the Pittsburgh-Syracuse game because you don't have any friends, dude.
Ooh.
Stop.
Okay, Teddy, I actually tell people all the time that you're my friend.
You're mine too, Lawrence. I'm only kidding. I'm just teasing you. That being said, I would look only at the Pittsburgh side in this ballgame. We've seen enough from Syracuse now. The defense is not very good. All right, they rank, 97 in the country, giving up 425 yards a game. The defense is not good. Tommy DeVito is not good for Syracuse, and we saw that was on full display last week. The defense played out of their mind last week in NC State. They give up 1 touchdown on a trick play, and the offense just can't do anything. Pitt's got the better D. Pitt deserves to be the chalk here. Syracuse is not a bet-on team. It'd be Panthers or pass for me.
Okay, Duke, Virginia. 46, Virginia -3.5. Dave.
Yeah, I was right about Virginia, okay? They're not that good. The team got overhyped in the preseason. They're okay. That's it. And Duke's okay. The difference right now is the Duke quarterback, he's making mistakes. And Cutcliffe needs a good quarterback in his offense. I think Virginia might get off the canvas here and come up with a good game. Probably not going to be on my card, but I'll lean the Virginia way.
Teddy?
And it's funny, and I look at Quentin Harris, and I understand that he's a quarterback who's made a handful of mistakes. He's the better of the 2 QBs. When you talk about who's going to chuck it downfield, who's got the opportunity to create plays, Virginia's offense is what it is. 102nd in the nation in yardage so far this season on a yards per play basis. They're 5.3. The bottom. They're ranked near the 100th mark in everything. I think Duke's a little better than Virginia. And sure, spot-wise, it feels like a Cavs spot at home. The price is reasonable. But I think Duke's a better team. I can only take Duke in this one.
5-1 Wake Forest hosting Florida State. Wake's -2, big total of 69. Dave Cokin.
All right. I don't think I'll be betting Florida State in any game. They're not very well coached. I think the swagger that they had to start the season has vanished, and it's all now empty talk from them. Wake Forest coming off a game that they'd probably like to forget. It's not a spot where I can play Wake Forest, not off that insanity. But I want no part of Florida State. Florida State's a fade or leave it alone.
Teddy?
Florida State's the better defense catching points. It's a better defense by a fairly wide margin catching points. And, again, Wake scored 59 last week and lost at home. That's not a team I want. The Seminoles have, and what I don't know. There were many teams that were going to hang tough with Clemson last week. The spot was Clemson, and Clemson went in there, and they were focused and they were really good. This isn't a game where Florida State is going to have any they're going to have athletic edges all over the field. That's the only way I can look in this would be the Seminoles plus. I don't want Wake minus. And again, strength of schedule disparity between these two teams is really dramatic. Florida State has faced the much tougher slate of opponents, which I think gives them an edge in a game like this one against a Wake team that hasn't seen a lot of skill position talent like Florida State brings to the equation.
It does bring up an interesting point. Clearly, they face a tougher schedule. But that can also physically be something that wears down a team.
Sure.
Because they just keep facing powerhouse after powerhouse and not having success in those games. And I think that can wear a team out physically and mentally.
Excellent point.
Iowa -18 against Purdue. Dave?
Nice game by Purdue last week, which they needed. And Iowa's coming off a really disappointing 2-week stretch. This is not a good spot for the Hawkeyes because they're not the type of team that can take an inferior opponent and just dismantle them. That's just not Iowa's style. Purdue will have some confidence coming out of last week. I wouldn't be surprised if Purdue hangs around in this one.
Teddy?
Purdue beat them last year, and they beat them the year before. So,
Dave
Iowa
doesn't care.
Okay, I'm not talking to Dave. I'm talking to our audience, and I'm talking to you, Lauren. Dave doesn't need to listen to me, okay? Dave, well, when I'm talking, Dave might be on mute for all I know. That's fine.
Oh, I'm listening.
But
I'm just not
focusing.
I'm just not as dismissive of you as I am of
Nice!
the other guy.
I appreciate that.
Where's the little dog? I liked it. I liked it when the dog was in the. What's the dog's name? Is Vegas?
Yes.
Blackjack.
Where is Vegas?
His dog's name is Vegas. My dog's name is
Vegas!
Blackjack.
I don't know where she is. Okay, Teddy, go on. Tell us. Teach us.
Now I forget what game we're talking about.
We're talking about Iowa -18.
Iowa's last 2 weeks have been disgusting. In terms of their defense kept them in games and their offense just couldn't do anything. Purdue's defense is not like that.
No.
And Iowa's defense is truly, they're elite. The Hawkeyes defense, and from a yards per play standpoint, Purdue at 6.2, Iowa at 4.6. There's no comparison. Throw in double revenge, and that does mitigate, I think, some of the negativity of the spot for Iowa. But the Hawkeyes, not a team I like to ask to win by margin. That's not Ferentz's MO. They don't have the offensive playmakers to get the quick strike touchdowns, and that has me reluctant to lay the price with the Hawkeyes here. Lean under before I lean side.
BYU +6.5 hosting Boise State. Boise undefeated, 6-0 on the season. Mr. Cokin, sir.
Got to make sure the Boise quarterback's good to go. He did get hurt last week, although the other kid is not bad either. BYU, let's just look. BYU loses a game, and it's funny. I wrote this in my notes to my clients last week. I said BYU could get upset by Florida, and they did. That's BYU. They're capable of hanging around with teams. They're also capable of losing games that they really shouldn't lose. That was a costly loss for BYU last week. I'm sure that they were flat, but that's on the coaching staff, and I don't have much regard for this coaching staff, to be honest with you. I think Boise finds a way to get to the winner's circle in this game. I think the line's pretty good, so it's probably not going to be a game I'm going to strongly consider. I think it'll be BYU will compete with them, but I don't want BYU in a game I don't think they're going to be able to figure out a way to win. So I guess I'd lean Boise in this one.
Teddy?
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 years these two teams have met, and BYU has scored 7 and 16 against Boise. That offense is going to have problems again here. Boise's defense is really good.
Yeah, it is.
And it seems to me to be getting better. And I know that last week in the second half, they gave a bunch of yards and a bunch of points to Hawaii. And I like that because now their statistical profile doesn't look as good as it did. And that offers value with a team that you know is just fine defensively. And what happened against Hawaii in the second half was a team playing with a 4 or 5 score lead and letting their opponent chuck the football around a little bit. I didn't downgrade Boise at all off of that effort. The one thing BYU has done, they've stepped up in class repeatedly this season. Boise hasn't. Boise had the one test against Florida State. And that was their toughest test basically of the season. So, and the series history is fairly tight, but if I'm playing, I'm laying. Boise is the better of these two teams. And the Broncos in the road chalk roll have been very, very good for many years throughout the Harsin era.
Guys, Teddy is rolling in NFL and college football this season up. Great return on investment in both sports.
Not
get
true.
1 month of...
Actually, look at the stats. I'm not killing it. I mean, I've had a bad weekend in October. I'm not up huge profits. I am up long term, but if you had actually done a little work before the show, you could have seen that October so far has not been great. I'm looking for a big bounce back weekend this week, Lawrence.
Guys,
you can't say I'm up huge units.
Guys, Teddy's promotion has been taken off of the board. Do not go over to Wager Talk and use any promo code for Teddy. Let's get back to my promotion. I'm 8-1 in baseball. Head over to wagertalk.com and use the promo code Prez, MLB99. If you want a promo code for Teddy, call him. Here, let me give you his cell number. Should I? You're pissing me off, Teddy.
Clearly, you're doing that bottom jaw. But look, I'm not going to tell people I'm
You're
red hot.
You're up in both sports. You had a rough week. Sounds like a great time to play you, but you didn't even let me finish your promo, so gonzo. Out of there. I don't even want to hear you talk about anything other than college football. You're annoying the shit out of me today.
No, you got to give the promo because if someone wants it, they deserve to get the promo. So you have to give it out. Thank you, Laura.
Really? What is it, Teddy?
Don't hurt the company's sales.
What do you mean the company's sales? They all want my baseball. There it is. I put Teddy's promo back up, people. Get 1 month of all his plays for only $225. That includes the NBA, which will start somewhere in that month period. Promo code Teddy225. Yeah, we're going to have to make some rules for these shows. Some of them might be like actually giving out your damn opinions instead of telling us constantly how you don't know this, you don't like that. You guys are the ones that pick these damn games. Next week, I think we should do a different format and actually...
Okay, all right, if we should pick the games that nobody cares about, right? Because those are the ones I invariably end up playing.
Okay, what we're going to do, though, Dave, what we're going to do next week's show is we're going to keep to this format, 5 games, you pick them, and then we'll do the 10 short takes, but we'll also give out...
You pick the games.
What?
Go ahead, you pick the games that we're going to talk about.
Well, dude, according to you guys, I know shit all about college football, so I'm not going to pick any of these games.
But, I mean, I don't. It's a tough deal. I mean, we're trying to give some insight on the bigger games on the schedule.
Okay, then let's get to a big one. Utah against ASU. 14th seed versus 17, both 5-1. Utah's a huge -13.5 favorite. Dave, go.
What's my promo?
You don't get one today, Dave. Your promo is tomorrow. Huh. So, guys, tomorrow you're on puck time, right?
I think I do Thursdays on Puck Time. Don't I?
Okay, Thursdays on Puck Time. Tomorrow you'll be on Betting Edge. I only have Teddy once. Thank God. Oh, thank God. So I got you 2 more times this week, Dave. You got your promos coming up. How about this, Dave?
Utah and Arizona State.
Okay.
Please.
Arizona State. When Herman Edwards got that job, the general response was, "You got to be kidding." And I wasn't sure why that was, because I always thought that Herm Edwards looked to me like a guy who, with his motivational abilities, would be a better fit in college than he was in the NFL. And so far, that appears to be the case. He's doing a nice job with this team. And Arizona State, I think, is a team that is doing better than people thought they would do. Utah is a good football team. Utah is the better football team. But this is not... At this point, Arizona State is starting to make that list as a program that's kind of underrated. They're better than people think, and they're particularly better defensively than people think. Utah had a real easy game last week. This is going to be a much more difficult game. I'm trying to find my number on the damn game. What's find it? My eyes are
370. No, that's
Okay.
USC. I've already
thanks for
moved
giving me the
away
wrong
from
number.
the Utah game.
359, 360.
Thank you. Okay, I'm on the wrong page. My number in the game. Oh, okay, at Utah. That's why I couldn't find it. Yeah, my number in the game is fairly high. I've got it in the 15, 16 range. But I honestly don't trust my number, because I think my number is also maybe underrating just how decent Arizona State is. And I'm not using the word great, because they're not, but they're decent. They fight hard. Whether they can stay in it for 60 minutes here, I'm not sure. Utah is a pretty potent team, and they're very dangerous at home. But I'm not going to be running to the window to bet against this Arizona State squad that is playing football like they believe in themselves, and they're getting Herm Edwards is getting the max out of his talent. He really is.
Teddy?
So I have an opinion on this game, a fairly strong opinion, and I'm with Dave 100%. Arizona State plus the points. Look at Herm Edwards on the road in 2 years at Arizona State. None by more than a touchdown, 0. Outright upset wins at Arizona, at USC, at Michigan State, at Cal. I know there were others. They almost knocked off the Huskies last year. But the point is, they haven't lost a game by more than a touchdown on the road in 2 years. I don't think that changes this Saturday. Arizona State, the clear choice for me.
USC minus 9.5 against Arizona. Dave?
Arizona, there were some games where Sumlin was, oh boy, he's really done a good coach this year, surprising me. And then you get last week. And Tate's, and I can't really blame it on Sumlin, but Tate's an extension of the coach. And one play he'll make a great play, and then the next play he does something unbelievably bad. Did you see the play he made last week where he tried to throw the ball left-handed and he threw it backwards? Yep. And I mean, it's like,
I
what
enjoyed that.
in the world? What is going on? Arizona is, to me, a very untrustworthy team. USC, holy cow. And USC let it all hang out last week. Big effort against Notre Dame. I don't want them here. I said this last week going into that game, and my feelings are still the same, that there are a couple of games remaining on the USC schedule that they're going to have circled as really big games, and they'll play their butts off in those games. But in the other games, with what I think is a lame duck coaching staff, watch out. You might not get much of an effort. And this falls into that category. I don't think USC is going to be primed for a big effort here. I don't think I'm going to bet Arizona because I don't trust the team at all. But that's the only side I'm considering.
Theodore?
Yeah, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly with Dave again, which is unfortunate because I like it when we argue a little bit. But it's I know.
What do you mean? All you guys do is argue with me.
Well, yeah, that's because you say stupid stuff and Dave doesn't. But I'm not trying to argue with you. The stuff comes out of your mouth, and I just have to. I mean, I just can't let it sit there.
It's just so easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
I personally think it makes the show.
Can I talk USC Arizona?
No,
please?
let's move on.
Okay. I want to hear USC Arizona from Teddy.
We don't trust the Trojans to lay a price with them. We don't trust them against this opponent. We don't trust them against lesser opponents. And USC having focused one game, not the next, is likely to be a problem. And USC's turnovers could easily be a problem. They're -7 in turnovers this year. They're as bad as it gets among Power 5 programs in that regard. So I'm not laying with USC. But when you talk about completely random results, look, Khalil Tate, at times you'll be like, oh my God, how did he do that? And then 2 seconds later, you're like, he's throwing a backwards pass to nobody, and that turned the whole game against Washington last week. So he's a quarterback that went on is capable of winning any game, and went off is capable of losing any game. And I don't know what Khalil Tate we see this week. So I'm not going to get involved.
Guys, make sure to watch the Betting Edge today. Ralph Michaels and Drew Martin. Tomorrow, Dave Cokin is on the Betting Edge, and we're going to have like 5 promos for him. We're going to have a promo for a day, a week, a month, a season. We're going to have win a dinner date with Dave Cokin. It's going to be the Dave Cokin promotion show tomorrow on the Betting Edge. So make sure to check that out, and also Puck Time today with Alex and Andrew. Dave, Kansas State +3.5 versus TCU. Go.
Let's see. Sorry for
378.
Thank you. My eyes are not the best, which is why.
And that would be your eye, Dave.
Yeah, and really. Let's see. I've got 7.5. I made this line about 4.5. So what am I going to do with it? I'm not TCU. I'm more sold on Kansas State than I am on TCU, to be honest with you. That sounds weird because I've always been a big Gary Patterson fan, but I'm almost kind of thinking that Patterson's been there for so long now that it might be getting to the point of, you remember what the last couple of years under Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech, it was almost kind of as if, he was the coach emeritus, still coaching the team, but the results just weren't the same. And I'm kind of getting to that point with Patterson, Patterson at TCU. He's been there forever. And there comes a point where I think maybe programs need to make a change for the sake of making a change. I think TCU has become kind of just a dormant program. They're not going to be a national title contender or a Big 12 contender under Patterson. They'll be respectable every year, but that's as far as they go. And the enthusiasm level, to me, seems to be waning at TCU. It's just, I like the Kansas State direction more than the TCU direction right now. That really doesn't apply much to this game. It's just an overview of the TCU program. But it applies in this sense. This would have been the type of spot where a few years ago, I'm absolutely on Gary Patterson as a defensive dog. And that's just not the case anymore. I think Kansas State might get this one.
Theodore?
Both teams come off a bye, and this is one I disagree with Dave, and pretty strongly. Kansas State is not good. All right, you can say what you want about the coach, and Kleeman certainly. We liked them early, and they overachieved a little bit early. But from a pure talent standpoint, Skylar Thompson's not a good quarterback. They're really lacking in skill position talent. The defense isn't loaded with playmakers. He's got some recruiting to do in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And the one thing that's been consistent for Gary Patterson, I understand they're going with the Frost QB. The Frost QB can chuck it around. They've got playmakers at wide receiver. They have the potential for quick strike touchdowns in a way that every time Kansas State scores, it's 80 yards, 7 first downs. They just don't make a whole lot of big plays, whereas TCU has the quick strike, big play capability. That matters to me in a point spread range like this one. So I would be looking at the Horned Frogs in this one. They are absolutely on my short list. And defensively, no comparison between these two teams. TCU allowing 4.6 yards per play. Kansas State allowing 6.1. That's a significant disparity.
Teddy, I just realized I have this button here that I click. Watch what happens. Watch, ready? You're gone! You're back! You're gone! You're back! Oh!
That beats a red card, huh?
Oh, I have the same one for Dave.
Yeah, but Dave doesn't piss you off as much as I do.
Firstly,
No, and if you do it to me, I'm liable to just take off the headsets and leave.
That's so true. Well said, Dave. Virginia Tech plus 3.5 against UNC. 2 more games to go. Let's get this show done, Dave.
Mac Brown's doing a great job with North Carolina. He really is. To me, he's a Coach of the Year candidate. And he probably would have been the Coach of the Year had they gotten the 2-point conversion against Clemson. Virginia Tech, they go out there off that disaster at home, and they go out and they play this great game at Miami, and they get up 28-0, and they're lucky to win the game. It's just not coming together for them. I mean, if you're asking me who's got more talent, I think it's Virginia Tech. But if you're asking me which team I like, it's North Carolina.
Okay, I didn't ask either, but Teddy, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the first coach following the legend is really hard. I mean, it just is. And this is likely to be, we'll see if it's Fuente's last season, his 4th year on the job. Maybe he gets another year, maybe he doesn't. But from the trajectory of the two programs right now, I don't want Virginia Tech. And it's just that simple. And especially, I mean, you nail it. They're plus 5 in turnovers at first half, 20-0 lead, and they barely win the game against Miami. Last week they beat an FCS squad. Okay, great. I do not trust Virginia Tech at all. I don't think they're the better of these two teams in any way, shape, or form. Road, chalk, or pass for me.
My kids keep bothering me to go to Hawaii. I'm like, guys, where you want to go on vacation this Christmas? They're like, Hawaii. Yeah, that ain't happening unless Teddy's paying. They're plus 3 against Air Force. I'm willing to take my kids to Air Force, though. Dave, what do you want to do in this one?
This looks like it should be a terrific end-of-the-night game because they're going to go up and down the field. I think Hawaii's going to have all kinds of problems stopping a very good Air Force option. And Air Force, if you want to beat Air Force, throw the ball against them because that's an area they can have problems in. And Hawaii will do nothing but throw the ball. This one might live up to what you want to see in a late-night game, which is, 45-38 type of deal. And I'm not sure who wins. And again, I'm not a totals guy, but I would look at the over in this game. Could be fun.
Teddy, finish the show for us.
Yeah, the over's already been steamed up. My first reaction was, oh, my God, this total's way too low. And then you really start looking at the Air Force. The problem with Air Force games is, you're getting like 7 possessions a game, 8 possessions a game. And when you have totals in the 60s and one team is very capable of going on a 7-minute drive to kick a field goal and then another 7-minute drive to kick a field goal, my first glance was, oh, my God, this total is way too low. And the market's already moved up. And the more I looked at it, the less excited I was about the over. That being said, Hawaii has little chance to stop Air Force. Hawaii correlates with over here. If Hawaii's going to cover this number, they're going to have to get points up because they're not stopping the Falcons' option attack.
That's the show, guys. It's the college football betting show. You get it every week. It's up Tuesdays at Wager Talk TV, our YouTube channel. We gave out 3 promo codes today. Brian 379, $379 for the rest of his college football season. Teddy 225. That comes with his phone number. So email Missy at Wager Talk for his personal phone number after you buy that. And bug the frickin' crap out of him. That's 1 month.
Oh, yeah, that'll be good. That'll be great for my capping if I start getting calls from all the clients to bug me.
Yeah. 1 month of all of his bets. You still talking, Teddy? I muted you.
No, I shut up.
And of course, me, the Prez MLB 99, $99 for the rest of my baseball season. Tomorrow, Dave Cokin's on the betting edge. We are going to give out so many damn promos tomorrow for Dave Cokin. You will not believe it. It's a must-watch show. We're going to give out an NHL promo for him, a baseball promo for next year. We're going to give out XFL promo in case he does it.
College football show's over.
What, Teddy?
I said the college football show's over. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Bye, everyone.